estate team.
And I'm Jason Jenkins with Union Home Mortgage.
We are talking about selling a home vacant versus occupied, the pros and cons.
Some challenges there.
And there are challenges, but there are some, I don't know if challenges is the right word. It just takes a different way to sell. If you're thinking, you don't deal as much with the real estate side of things, what are some pros of selling a vacant home? Right offhand, without looking.
Well, I can't see it. You covered your hand. Well, and I would just say a couple things. Is the advantage? Are you asking me the advantage as a buyer, or is that from an agent selling?
For both. For both.
Well, as a buyer, I think it's twofold. You don't see all the clutter, crap, stuff that someone has in the house.
Yep.
You can, I think, maybe easily envision what you could do to the house. But on the other flip side of that, I can see like, wow, this house is so bare.
They usually say you can't envision when it's vacant.
Oh. Well, see, I don't know what I'm talking about, like you said. But I mean, I think with me, when I've only bought like 4 homes in my life, but I mean, one of them was vacant. That's the one maybe I'm special. I did envision it.
Could be. Could be. You are special. I consider you special.
In many ways. But, it goes back to what you're preaching a lot, which is talking about the home stager. Right? And I know for a fact, and I've shared this before, that one of my homes, I tried selling when I lived with my brother. It was a total dude house. And we had no luck, and we had a home stager come in and literally sold within a week because of that touch.
Yeah.
So, I can see the advantages of both this and that. A lot of times, though, what I find, at least on the mortgage side of things, when it's vacant, we can do things quicker. There's not a seller to worry about. I mean, I can do things quick regardless, but there's not anybody to worry about getting out of there. It's already
home
vacant.
is easier to show. That's reason number one why vacant is good. And the reason I bring this topic up is because I recently had a seller who was in a situation where she was worried the deal was going to fall apart. She had to move out before the home closed, and she's like, well, if it doesn't, if it doesn't close, I'm going to lose all this money because the home is vacant. I said, hey, take a step back. There's actually some benefits of the home being vacant. First being the home is easier to show. So there's agents in this market who are 10 minutes before they want to show, or they're texting us, calling us saying, hey, can we get into the house?
Sure.
With a vacant home, it's easier to show. They can get in right away. So that's a big benefit.
No dog to get rid of or cat to hide.
And even there's sometimes the seller will turn down the showing because they're too busy, or they got family, or they got birthday parties or whatever, and we end up missing out on that showing. So that's a benefit for a seller if the home is vacant. Number 2 is, in a sense, you don't have to keep the home spotless. It's still good to have the home clean, but when a home is vacant, people kind of expect, hey, people are kind of coming and going. You might get some leaves and stuff in there, and it'd be nice if you keep it clean. But when, with a home that's occupied, you got people who are living there, and they got the stuff, and they got, like you said, they got pets and different things. So that's another beauty of having the home that's vacant. That makes it easier to show, get more people through, potentially more offers. This talks again about you don't have to interrupt the seller, so that's a benefit there. I think just another benefit is that someone can move in right away.
Sure.
So you don't have to wait for the seller to get out. People know, hey, if we write an offer on this home, we can get occupancy right at closing. And it's not even mentioned in this article, but that's a beautiful thing, especially when someone's already selling their house and they need to get into something right away. A vacant home is, hey, this closes, we get keys at possession, and we can move right in. And we talked about last week about don't move in before closing, but that does sometimes happen with buyers and sellers saying, hey, the home's vacant, can I just use your garage, or can I just move some things in, and then it can become a mess.
And sometimes you have those one-offs where you have to go take keys back from people, and it's just not a good scene.
Yeah. Cons of selling a vacant home. Vacant homes feel vacant. Do you know why?
Because there's nothing in there.
Yes. Nailed it.
And people don't have the vision.
They don't have the vision. A home that's staged, it just has a warmer feel. It feels more like home. It's a little bit easier to sell, I would say, just because a buyer's going in, and in my opinion, they can imagine their stuff, their couch, because some stuff is already there. When it's just a big open space, for most buyers, it's a little bit harder, and that's why there's actually companies coming out with like virtual staging, so that they can kind of see what this could look like if we purchased the house.
Sure.
Another reason why there's issues, though, kind of a con with vacant home is vacant homes can attract more crime. People can see that the home's vacant. And I wouldn't say, people aren't going in to take anything because
there's
nothing there, but, getting in there and destroying and...
But, I mean, we've had instances of copper wiring. I mean, people pull out piping. I mean, I've seen someone steal a furnace. So I mean that.
And it
can
happens. And that's where the seller's disclosure, when I meet with sellers, they're always like, do I need to disclose that there's plumbing or electrical? I'm like, yeah, because when there's foreclosures, people used to just take all this stuff and you wouldn't have it. So yeah, you have plumbing, that's good, it works. Please check that you have that. Another con of having a vacant home is that it can signal some urgency on the seller, so it can hurt with the negotiations because it's like, hey, they've moved out, there must be a reason, hey, they need to sell quick, and that can help the buyer and hurt the seller in terms of negotiation goes. And I don't know about this one, this might be a question that you can answer, is vacant homes might require special insurance. Are you aware of anything like that?
Well,
and I mean, or a different, or a higher, for the seller more, you know,
right.
I mean, because they're not there, and if things
I've
freeze or
only had it before when like they don't get possession that close, and they've had special insurance thrown in because the new buyer technically owns it, but the seller still lives in the house for up to 30 days. I'm not aware of anything though if the house is vacant. I mean, you might change your policy and let your insurance guy know, hey, look, we've moved out and all of our contents are gone. But, you know, to my knowledge, I don't know what a special policy we would have for a vacant home.
Yeah. Another benefit of the vacant home is it's easier for us even to do open houses, because they're talking about one of the pros for a home that's occupied is that, and I don't know if I even agree with this, is that it's less of a target for criminals.
Sure.
And we kind of talked about that in the first section, but they're saying during open houses for homes that are occupied, there are people, and you know, we've heard stories where people come in and they end up stealing some things during the open house. So that's something that we do recommend. Is, hey, put your valuables away if you're trying to sell your home, especially if it's occupied and you're doing open houses.
Right.
Because, you know, if there's 4, 5, 6 groups there, one agent can't be in all of these different places at once. Occupied homes show better. That's a fact. I know you liked your vacant home and you can imagine yourself, but it just has a warmer feel, unless there's too much stuff. Then it can become a deterrent. But a home that's staged typically will show better, and a buyer can really imagine themselves in there a little bit easier. Number 3, and this is probably more so if it's a for sale by owner, you get to meet the buyer. And in this market, as you know, people are closing at different title companies, and the buyer and seller oftentimes don't even meet. So when they're talking about,
you're not going to have, I mean, on one of your listings, you're not going to recommend your seller.
no,
there.
and that's where this article is probably more geared towards, hey, if you're selling by owner, you're going to get to meet the buyer. Number 4, a benefit of, you know, an occupied home is you can handle the emergencies. If, you know, someone goes through and looks at it and, you know, there's water leaking, or if the doors were left unlocked, you're home and you can check it out and make sure everything is okay, and that's really a big beauty. And then another pro is, you know, if you're selling a home and you still live there, is you're not paying for 2 properties. You know, you're not paying 2 taxes, you're not paying 2 utility bills. So, but that's the risk that people take with owning 2 homes is, hey, we think this is going to sell quick, but it doesn't always happen that right. Cons of selling an occupied home, it kind of goes back to the, you know, what we talked about before. You have to keep it clean, and that's what we talk with our sellers about. And we even give them like if you have preparing your home to sell in 15 minutes or less. So like if you get a quick showing, here's the few things that you do to get it ready. Because we would rather have people get through than not get through.
Is throwing a blanket over everything, is that one of the tips?
That is not, actually, no.
Okay.
But throwing stuff in the dishwasher that's just on the
Throw it all in the
counter.
closet?
Yeah, that sort of thing. Do a quick vacuum. They talk about a con of occupied as hoarding, and other issues cannot be hidden effectively because, you know, again, people are walking through and they're looking and they're saying, hey, does this work for us? And having too much stuff is definitely a hindrance.
Well, I think that's why I like the vacant houses. The last home I bought, so the one I currently live in, was a hoarder person, and it was just like, I mean, it was more of a turnoff than anything. And I was just like, I'd rather see this in blank.
What if it was full of cowboy stuff? You would have liked it.
That would have put me in an impasse there. This was not cowboy stuff. It was just.
And by cowboy stuff, you're talking about the hats and the boots and.
We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, the Dallas
Cowboys. The star.
That's right.
I see the star. True blue.
And really, I think the number 1 reason why it's a con of having an occupied home is you have to vacate for all the showings, for the appraisals, for the inspections, and it becomes a hassle. It's hard work selling. A lot of people, once they get a couple showings, are like, Luke, we're glad you sold it so quick, because that was awful showing the home all the time.
I've heard stories about we had to get in our truck with our dog and go sit around the block and wait for people to get it out.
Happens. Sometimes they don't leave, and then it becomes a bigger issue too. We're up against the break. When we get back, we're going to answer your mortgage and real estate questions.
Yes.